This video we're going to take a look at health and safety for iMedia. So first things first, hazards. So a hazard is something that may be dangerous or risky. So think about in your classroom when you're at school, you've got lots of computers in the room potentially, things could get knocked over, people are moving around too much and being silly running around. You might trip over wires, electronics might fail and set on fire, heating might break so the room gets really, really hot so the computers overheat, the aircon unit might break and start leaking water everywhere. There's loads of things that could happen, so it's really important that a company identifies each of these hazards so they can plan to avoid them. So some potential risks in ICT, and these are things that you might get asked on the exam, so it's a good idea to make sure you know these even though it isn't the most interesting topic. So eye strain, so if you're staring at a computer for too long, especially in bad lighting, if you've got a screen that flickers because it's going sort of out, it's breaking a little bit, or screen glare, could all really put strain in your eyes and give you headaches. Now, headaches come from eye strain, they come from just being on the computer for too long, so you need to make sure you're taking breaks every hour or so for at least 5 minutes. You should really take a 20-minute break every hour or so. Back pain you might get, so if you've got poor posture, if you think most of the time you're going to be leaned over looking at something on the screen, especially if you've got bad eyesight, if you've got an awkward sitting position, you're not sitting properly really, you should be sat with your back nice and straight, arms should be quite sort of far out, and you should have a fully adjustable chair and a footrest if possible. Even adjusting your monitor a little bit, so you can put it up and down, can solve these issues. So you might also get RSI, which is repetitive strain injury, so it's damage to the fingers, wrists and other parts of the body from doing the same thing over and over again. I think at one point I was getting it when I was marking iMedia exams, because you use your mouse on the computer and you do quite a lot of the same movements of just dragging a tick across and pressing a number value and then next. So I was doing the same thing for hours on end, which was bad for my hand. And then heating and ventilation, so computers get hot whilst they're on, so they need to be cooled down because they could get overheat, catch fire or melt. And then loose wires can cause people to trip up. Now in production, so don't forget it's not an ICT course, this is iMedia, so you need to think about other places that we can make production. So it might be a location you go into. Is the area safe to film on? Have you got permission? That's something that needs to be on a risk assessment. Is are the police or security going to come ruin your footage because you're illegally trespassing on some land? Lighting, is it going to be dark or light enough to work in? Do you need to get extra lighting? If you're doing extra lighting, that's going to cost you more money. You're going to have to get electrics in, get lighting in, which again, that's more risk because you've got some lights which could set on fire, they could smash and so on and so on. You've got physical safety. What if the light you just put up falls over on somebody? Is it nice and secure? Is the set, are the props, are they all safe? Are the facilities available? You need to have first aid, you need to be able to have toilets. You need to be able to have all these different things. And then access to the site, are you going to have to climb up ladders? Is there wheelchair access? Are there stairs? Is it really high up? Is the location in a really remote place where you're going to get altitude sickness? There's loads of different things you've got to think about. So when you're looking at the exam and the client brief, and it starts asking about potential risks, think about all the things you might have to do in that situation, which is difficult because most of you won't have gone out and filmed on set. I've not gone and filmed on the set. So you have to think a little bit out of the box of the potential things that could happen. So an exam question here. So when using a computer to create pre-production documents for a documentary film, the health and safety of the computer should be considered. Identify 3 possible risks to the health and safety for the user. For each risk, state a measure that could be used to reduce the risk. 6 marks. That's quite a big question for something quite simple. So pause the video and I'll go through the answers in a moment. Okay, for some answers. So something along the lines of headaches, so you need to take frequent breaks or have a break every hour, something that makes sense. Tripping over cables, make sure what cables are tied, not loose or covered. Back strain, should not sit in a bad position, provide an adjustable chair. It says EG as well, so if you said about having say like an armrest or something for RSI, that works. Lighting and things for screens and things like that all works as well. So then what we have to do is, especially if we're going to film somewhere or going on a school trip or anything like that, we need to do a thing called a risk assessment. Now, there are several steps to follow in completing a risk assessment. First things first, you've got to identify all the hazards, risks and dangers. You've got to decide who might be harmed and how, evaluate the risks and decide on how you're going to prevent them, so precautions. Then you need to record your findings down on a risk assessment, implement them, and then review it regularly. So there's an example here of a simple risk assessment. So hazard might be slipping and tripping. So it could be children or getting a full range of injuries. So we need to have a toolbox for organised children's parties at start of visit, signs and notices about running and playing any running type games. We need to review it every year, and it's a low risk. And you see it goes through all these potential things at a children's party. Now, next thing to know about is a location recce. Not a Recce, not a Recce, a recce. So the main stage of a location recce are as follows. So this is where we go to a place to see, right, we're going to film here, we're going to, record here, whatever it is you're going to do. Usually it's for filming. You need to think, access. How easy is it to get into this location? Have I got to go walk up the side of a mountain to get there? Have I got to just walk up some steps? Things like that. Permission. Are you allowed to record there? If you're doing some drone footage and you're near an airport, you're not allowed to do that. So you need to think about things like that. Power. Are any plug sockets? If you're going to try film in a cave for a film, can you actually plug in the cameras? Can you actually plug in the lights and things like that? Then you've got suitability. Is it a good location? Can you get the camera angles you want? Can you get into the nooks and crannies that you need to get to? Are there any problems? What might cause problems? What could be risky? If you're in a cave, is it going to be a cave in? And then lighting and sound. If you're in a cave, like I'm in a classroom right now, and there is a little bit of echo. So ideally, I need to be in a nice, contained. Like some of the videos that I filmed in my house sound a lot better because I'm indoors and I'm not in a massive classroom, whereas I'm in quite a big room. There's quite a lot of space here, so it echoes quite a lot. And then lighting, is it going to be really dark? So I'm going to pay for more lights to go in there. Is there any background noise? If you're filming near a road, we're going to hear the noise. So we're going to have to, change how we set up our microphones and things. Is it going to be really bright? If you take a photo or a film, it's a really, really bright day, it might saturate the footage if it's not a great camera. So it's all things you need to think about for your location recce. Here's an example. So you've got when you're going to film within Coventry, using a DSLR camera, what camera angles are going to use, why they're using them, so it's better for the camera, what noise information, so it's not an issue because it's not going to use sound, using a battery powered camera, using street lighting and natural lighting, so they don't need to get any expensive bulbs or anything. And then you need to notify the police perhaps. Do we need to have an ambulance on board? Like quite a lot of sets, they have an ambulance on standby in case something happens, as well as a plan for if someone does get hurt, things like that. So that's what your location recce is for. It's like you go there, you scout it out, and you plan how you're going to do your bits and bobs. Usually you go around with a camera and take photos of each of the spots as well. So exam question again. So at the meeting with Zeta levels, that's another one of the client briefs from a past paper, it was decided that a film crew need to go to the factory and shoot footage of a new toy being made. Before the film crew can begin working, they need to do a location recce. Explain one purpose of the location recce for this TV advert. Then, before filming begins, a risk assessment needs to be completed. What's the purpose of the risk assessment? And explain why a risk assessment is necessary for the filming. So that's 6 marks in total. Again, that's still quite a lot of marks. That's like 10%, because usually the exam's out of 60. So that's 10% of your marks on health and safety. So pause the video. I'll go through the answers in a moment. And for the answers, so it's a look at the location and see what needs to be filmed in the factory, check the camera shots in the factory, check noise levels from the machinery, look at lighting issues, check for hazards, so you can complete a risk assessment. Now, the risk assessment is there to check what safety issues there may be, to identify any measures to be taken to minimise risks, and that's because the film crew needs to be safe when filming in the factory, and the employer, so the people filming, or the company who needs to be filming, is responsible for the safety of the workers, so they need to check that their work is safe. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, like and subscribe, check out some of the previous videos I've got, and I will see you in the next video.